this is Lance. Welcome back to the channel. And we got a new GMC truck for you. Now, this one's gonna be a little different because most of your GMCs out there are gonna have a two-way system in it. This truck has a three-way system in the front, and it's not a 2500 or 3500, it's a 1500. It's an XT4 off-road package, which is really dope. So it has like it has the factory cameras on the side for rock call. It's got a front camera, it's got a rear camera, it's got a tweeter in the A pillar, it's got a mid in the dash, it's got a mid base in the back, it's got all this really cool XT4X graphics on it. It's really nice, black on black, with the exterior is gray, like a matte gray, which is really nice. So I'm gonna do my normal thing as far as sound deadening goes. So the doors are gonna be pretty simple. The only difference really is, in this system, is we're gonna use different equipment this time. So we're gonna do some audio control speakers, the new audio control amplifiers, and we're also gonna use the audio control Stinger box that goes onto the back seat there. So let's look and see what we got going. We also have to add a dash camera too, because we do everything. So we got the Stinger box here, which has two tins, and it has a really cool, it has the plugs on it here. It also has a plug-in power plug, which is really cool. It also has hardware there, so we can hook it up, and it's a vented enclosure. So this box should bang. So the equipment we're gonna use on it, so you know, other than that box, which I'll put a description of what that box is physically, the model number, we're gonna do a couple of things. So we got the Wolf box, 3 camera setup. So you're gonna have a front camera, a rear camera, and an interior camera with that, which is pretty nice. So it's IO7. Then we got the audio control PNW-65CS2 components. Now this is a two-way. So for order to do a three-way, we need to add the PWE 275. So we can go full active, and in this case we're not. We're gonna use audio controls PNW-XN3, which is, this is their three-way crossover. So I haven't opened the box, but I'll open the box and I'll show you what's going on with that. We're also going to use a A604, so it's 4x100, as you can see on the box at 4 ohm. And then we're going to have the A800, which is a monoblock. We're going to run it at 2 ohms. It's going to be 600 watts to the sub. We also have the PNW 665, which is the rear coaxial. So this particular truck does have components in the rear, but what I'm not a fan of is if you have a tweeter in the rear, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you have a tweeter in the rear here, putting a tweeter right here and not going active means that there's no way for me to delay that tweeter if I do any kind of DSP tuning, because literally that tweeter's here, your ear is here. So what will happen is you're going to hear that tweeter first. It's going to mess up the imaging. I mean, if it was full active, you could do something about it, but in this case, we're going to use a DSP that's not going to give us enough channels. We're not using more than 2 amplifiers. We're not using a 12 channel. We're using literally a 4 channel and a monoblock. So that's technically 5 channels of output. So that's going to be where we're going to run into some other challenges. So we got the 3-way here, the monoblock, and then we're going to use Pack Audio's new AP4 GM71. So everything I hear about this thing is really good. I haven't tested it myself, but today's gonna be the first one I do, along with a lot of firsts. So literally everything you see here is a first as far as I've done in the past. So I've done Morel, I've done JL, I've done Rockford, but I've never done audio control speakers, and I've never actively done these new audio control amplifiers, which I've heard great things and heard them. We're also gonna do the Museway 8-channel DSP. So you go, why would you go to Museway for the DSP versus audio control? I think the Museway is a little bit more controllable from what I like to do versus the audio control. Nothing to take away from them. It's just that if I select a DSP and I'm trying to keep it under a certain price point, I'm gonna look at what makes sense to me, and also gotta look at what physically gonna fit. Because now I gotta fit an amplifier, another amplifier, a DSP, and also a crossover in there. We're gonna have 2 4-gauge kits, we're gonna have power, and that's what we're working with. So when you get that audio control box, it's be the TXGM19D10. So it's telling you, I don't know what the TX is for, but I can figure out what GM is for. And 19, that's gonna be 19 and above Chevy enclosure and dual 10-inch woofer box. It comes with very simple instructions. Comes with the hardware to mount it. You're gonna have to take a few things out to make it work. So I think we're gonna be really, really dialed in. So let's take the time and open up the crossover box and see what that's all about. So here's what you get when you get the crossover in the box. So you're gonna get instructions on how to use it. And here's the crossover. I did take the plastic off it to see what it is. So on the output side, you're gonna have adjustments for 0 dB, 3 dB. You're gonna have a left woofer, left mid, controls for the output, and then you're gonna have tweeters. You have 0 to 6 negative dB. You're gonna have individual connections for left and right tweeter on this connector, and you're gonna have different potentiometers to turn them down, and then you're gonna have a right side. That's pretty cool. Then you have your input side. You could bi-wire it because it has instructions. You could do that. So you could do a 6-channel amp. So you're gonna have left and right. And you're gonna have inputs as far as everything goes. So I'm assuming, and I'll read the instructions, that the inputs are either gonna be a main input, which is right here. And when you bi-wire it, you're gonna have different inputs there. So they give you a lot of flexibility. So it's a pretty good looking crossover. So we'll figure out how that works. It tells you what the crossover points are. So the tweeters are crossed over at 4K. The mids are crossed over at bandpass at 4K to 350, and then the subs are 350 and below. So that's that takes a lot of the guesswork out when you're doing some of these GM trucks, or even a 3-way, because if you're going to do it non-active, it's kind of nice. But if you're doing it active and you're using their speakers, that'll give you a good indication of how you want to wire it up. When you get the speakers themselves, the component, you're going to get instructions. You're going to get obviously the actual covers. Now here's the weird thing. Most people don't know what these are. These are actually heat shrink crossover covers, and I'll explain how those work in a minute. You're also going to get some mounts for the tweeter. Now this mount here, you see it doubles twice for the actual mid here, so you can actually take the mid out of this box here, the mid that comes in this box, this mid driver, and this has knockouts, and this will fit in there without a problem. So that's kind of cool that they give you all the stuff. So you can either do a 2-way or 3-way with these covers, and you have the tweeter mounts too. Hardware there. Then you dig deeper, you have the tweeters themselves, then you have the crossovers. Now what I said previously on these is, say you don't have real estate to put these big crossovers in your car, you take these apart because they have hardware to come apart. So you can literally take the screws out of them, and you can take this heat shrink and put them over the actual crossovers when you take it out of there, and physically you can heat shrink it around the crossover. You don't have to worry about putting it in tight spaces. It's kind of cool. Then you have these tweeters here, which are really dope because you can take these apart. Then below there you got the 6-inch drivers with the covers. So that's a kind of a unique audio control cover, which is pretty dope too. I think I like that. So we're probably going to do some stuff early. We're going to take this car down. We're going to break this car down, get all the stuff out of it we need to get out of it, get the interior part, and then start working on the car itself. So the plan is today, day one, which I got this car in the afternoon, we're going to remove the seats, remove the back under seat piece here, pull all the rubbers out of here, pull all the framing apart because we got to run wires, and then start running wires. The wires we need, because we're gonna have base knob, we're gonna have a bunch of stuff. So let's get started on that. So we got the rear back seat physically moved. The back seat was kind of funky, wonky up here on the actual pad, but that doesn't matter. We might have to modify it to get everything in here anyway. So we'll do a normal amp rack in here, get it all secured, get everything mounted, get the parts back on here, get the amp rack built. We also took apart this side here. As you can see, we pulled all this apart because we're going to run wires, not many wires, but some wires, and get it going. I'm going to take apart the passenger side as well today. That way, when the next day or the next couple of hours, we can start running wires. I'm also going to plug in the audio control. I'm sorry, the amp global piece and see what it looks like as far as harnesses go, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And if it's got extra parts, I'll show you what's going on in the box. I haven't even opened the box yet, so let's see what's going on with that. We plugged in the pack harness, and of course it came with a lot of extra wires, but it plugs into the factory setup like it's supposed to. I de-pinned it because it did come with extra wires in the event that you had more speaker connections. So in this particular truck, it's going to have these wires are going to cover the front tweeter and door speaker. So that means we got to run new wires for the tweeter, and then you're going to have the dash speakers, which are going to be these colors here, and I'm assuming this is left and this is right. So this can be the middle and the dash. So the way this system will work is that it's kind of crazy how GM does it, but the tweeter and the driver are connected together and they're full range. Crazy, because there's no crossover. And then the doors, these are those, and then the dash speaker, which is a middler, is off these two wires here, so left and right. And then this particular truck had a center channel, but we're not going to use it, and we're going to pull it. And then you have the corresponding rear doors, which are traditional colors, green being left, purple being right, have the tweeter and the driver hooked up to these wires. So when we do the new rear speakers, we're just going to disconnect the tweeters. So everything looks like it's plug and play. It's got a little plug-in harness here. This is a 2 amp output, so we're going to use a relay, because what we're going to do is run 2 amplifiers, and we're also going to trigger the dash cam when the unit turns on. The dash cam also has a shock feature, so we're going to get that put in, and too, we're going to wire that back here. So everything's going to be wired in this back section. So amp rack's going to be done. That corner's taken apart. Tonight I'll probably take apart the dash, the A pillar, and see what's in there, and see how we're going to do the tweeter in there, because the middler is a 2.5 like all the rest of them. So we're moving, just got to keep going. Stay tuned. So we took apart the A pillar and the dash here physically, and the amazing thing is that this Bose speaker is physically the same size as the audio control speaker, and the same goes with the tweeter. The tweeter, if you take off the metal ring and put on the plastic cap, it pops right in the factory location really well. As you can see, if I just want to drop this speaker in here just to look, I still got to run some wires. It's a little tight, but it's almost dead on, if not dead on. So we put some other stuff in, we run new wires, and you're literally putting these audio control speakers in the factory location in a 3-way. So the 2.5 inch middler and the tweeter in this location here just drop in. You just have to secure the tweeter with whatever material you want to secure it with. You can build some custom rings to hold in place. You could use some hot glue. There's all kinds of ways to make it hold, but this is going to screw right in. We're going to run wires. We still got to run wires for the dash cam, so we got a lot of wires to run too, so stay tuned. So we're wrapping up the GMC. So this is a 2025 GMC Sierra XT4X, and we went with the audio control 2-way components. We added the 2.7 inch middle for the dash, and we used their 3-way crossover. Now, the one thing unique about this setup, other than the fact we're using all audio control, is that I've never ever used a passive crossover like this one. So if you're looking at the passive crossover, so we got the pack piece here, it's the 71, which works really good. Turns on, has an up trigger. It actually has the ability to turn on a bunch of stuff. It has a bass knob. It has front, rear, and sub pre-outs. Okay, it also has optical on the side. I don't know if you can see it, but it has optical on the side. Now let's talk about this audio control three-way crossover. Okay, so unique about it is that you can do 2 channels of input, or you can biamp it. And by biamping, you can actually have it so if you flip this switch on, these 2 corresponding switches physically, it'll allow you to take the mid here and it'll run the mid and tweet. If you flip this one on, it'll allow you to do everything independently, which is pretty neat. I wouldn't say independent, but you have the tweeter and the mid off these 2, and then you'll have, with that one on, it'll allow you to run the woofer input. So you see it has a left woofer, right input, right woofer input, and they're both separated on both sides. So the crossover is all in one unit. It's pretty cool. Here's the really cool thing, I think. Say you want to set it up without a DSP. I don't recommend it, but you say you do. You could take the tweeters and you can reduce them by 3 or 6 dB, and you got left and right. Why they separate it? It's because sometimes some people want left and right and they want to do their own thing. I get it. I wouldn't do it, but I get it. And then you have the mid 3 and 6 dB left and right. The one thing you don't see on here is a woofer 3 and 6 dB. Now, why would you not put a mid bass 3 or 6 on there? Because say you like a fair amount of mid bass and you want the tweeters and the mids to be more calm and you have more impact on the doors and you don't have a DSP, you can actually have that without boosting the bass on the radio, or even if you have a DSP, boosting the bass on DSP. So if you want to tune it, it's really, really simple. It's nice. Okay, so we got we'll cover what we got in this install. So we got the audio control, the pack audio, same company, Stinger, GM71. We have the Museway 6 input with 8 output DSP. We're only using 7, or I should say 5 outputs technically. And then we have the audio control PNW XN3, which is the 3-way crossover, because we did a 3-way in the front. We have the A604, which is running the entire system, left and right, front and rear. So he still has fader ability. It's not an active system, which is not normally something I do, but in this case, I always like to try different things. And then we have the A801, which is running the sub. And we also have the Stinger sub box underneath the seat. That's already mounted. It fits nicely under the seat. You can see here, it doesn't take up any extra room. And we did a very simple install on the front speakers. On the back speakers, we did a very simple 6.5. Their audio control is 6.5. And then we did the 3-way here. So we have the mid bass here. I'll overlay a video. We did some sound editing on it. I should overlay a picture of sound editing of the door and everything like that. And then we went with the middler in the factory location and the tweeter in the factory location. And of course we did a bass knob. So my overall impression of everything. The box is really nice. If you're a gung-ho SQ guy, this is not the box for you, because this box does bump, but it's more, I call it a street sub. It can sound really nice and warm. It takes a little bit of playing with to get it where you want it to be. But if you just want something out of the box that's done really well, it tunes really well, and that's very musical and not boomy, you could go other routes. If you want something that just wants to just pound the ground and do all kinds of crazy stuff, this box probably can do that, because the way it's designed, it's supported down firing 10 box. Sounds really, 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 really nice. There was a lot of EQ in here to get it the way I prefer it, and I'm still going to be tinkering with it until the end of it. So as you can see, the install is completely done. You can see all the wiring. It's a Lance Audio Design wiring setup like usual. Everything's nice and clean. We also did a really nice fuse block on it under the hood, which turned out really nice. So if you look under here, you got a nice fuse block here, mountain secured, you know. So we're just gonna wrap this truck up, call the customer, let him listen to him, and then find out, listen to it, and let him find out if he likes it. But I think for your average Joe, the box is really outstanding. The altitude amps are nice. They actually have good power, good range. I would be nice if they made a 6-channel, but hey, you gotta go with what you can get. So stay tuned for the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This box is done. This truck is done. I just got to put the back seat in it and we're wrapped. See you in the next video.